Hey everybody, Mark over here at Twanger's Turntable. I hope you're all doing well, enjoying your weekend or a long weekend for many of us here in North America. I know it's a long weekend in the States as it is here in Canada. So I hope you're enjoying yours. If you're new to my channel, thanks for dropping by. I hope you'll find something you'll dig, you'll stick around. There's got to be something here that you'll relate to, whatnot. If so, leave a comment. And those returning, as I've mentioned ad nauseum, I really appreciate you all doing so and your support. This vinyl community is an awesome thing that I think most of us have come to appreciate more than we'd anticipated upon maybe just creating a channel to show records and whatnot. So certainly the case for me. Today I'm here for that reason. Another member of the vinyl community, Morten. You probably know him. He's over there in Oslo. If you've not been to Morten's channel, here, I'll leave a link in the description. Head over there. He started the thread, another thread. I had mentioned, if you saw my other videos, that there was another thread I wanted to jump on, and this is the one. So I'm just getting a chance. I'm going to try and keep it relatively brief, but before I get back to my other show and tell videos, as I also alluded to in Nobody's Vault But Mine, but yeah, he was doing a thread of self-titled albums that aren't debuts. I'm a little late to the party. I think he started this well over a week ago. Damn, it might even be close to 2 weeks. I don't even know. I lost track of time. So I did see his video. I've seen a couple others. I always am reluctant to mention these because I'm not sure if I get them right, but I'm pretty sure Doug over at the Auditory Vinyl showed one that I watched. He did a video, and so there was that one. There was Morton's. Something tells me there was another one I saw, but it eludes me right now. But anyway, this is my entry or my response to Morton's channel, and if nothing else, this is just to support other fine members here of the vinyl community that I enjoy their content and watch as much as I can. So if you've seen some of these other responses, I have no doubt you're probably going to see vinyl that have already been shown. There's a limited amount, certainly in my collection, that you can go with that are not debuts, that are self-titled. I mean, from what I understand, bands typically do it as almost like a rebrand, a relaunch, to an image or something, or a new era, that type of thing. So it's not that common for a band to have an album that's self-titled after their initial release, their debut. But there is one gentleman who's done it on several occasions. So I'm going to kick off with that guy. And of course, it's Peter Gabriel. So the debut, I think it's also known as Car. And then I don't have his follow-up, the Scratches one, but he did it on the third one as well, Melting. And then, of course, Security, I think it's called. But they're all just officially titled Peter Gabriel. Now, from my understanding, his debut, when they did reissue this one, they called it One. But I've always dug Peter Gabriel. I mean, even his stint in Genesis. But as far as Genesis as a group go, I don't know if I'm of the minority. Doesn't matter to me. I like what I like. You like what you like, and you know, that's the way it should be. You know, whatever floats one's boat. So speaking of Genesis, I chose the self-titled one, and this has got, of course, Phil Collin on vocals. This is much later on. This is well after Peter Gabriel had left. This is 1983, but I always dug this one. Right in my wheelhouse of when I was, really getting into my own music, and, that self-titled Genesis. Abacab, I really love Abacab as well. But any of the Genesis, really, I dig. But personally, I prefer the vocal style of or not even the style, just that era. And it's probably more to do with when I was introduced to Genesis, which, come to think of it, that's not even the case. But when I started to listen to Genesis on my own accord, I remember my brothers listening to the old Peter Gabriel Genesis, but now I'm going off on those tangents like I often do. So let's just slow down and have a drink here. Cheers, everybody. Nothing too strong today. We're just drinking some tea. So, yeah. So next up, another album that's self-titled but not a debut. And I know that Doug did show this one, so I know this is a repeat for sure. But I'm still talking Genesis. Whitesnake, the 1987 Whitesnake that they decided to just call a self-titled album. But yeah, I'm not going to pull them all out. You've seen them all before, and if you haven't, you can look them up. But Whitesnake, this one it must have been shown, although I don't know if anybody has shown it that I've seen the video for. This one I will pull out of the sleeve because it's hard to see otherwise. Even with the sleeve, out of the sleeve, it's hard to see, and that's the self-titled Metallica 1991. Pretty sure the intention was initially to call this Don't Tread on Me, and that's why it's got the snake on there. But for whatever reason, they just went with self-titled Metallica, which is really hard to see for those who are not familiar with this album. But it does have the Don't Tread on Me snake down there, a rattler. But yeah, great album. Obviously, their biggest seller. I think the last count that my recollection was it was well over 20 million copies of this sold. So going with that, or it's also known as the Black Album. So I had to go with the White Album. The Beatles, 1968. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I cannot imagine somebody not hearing tell of this album, but hey, it's like I said, like I started out in the video, you know, to each their own, whatever floats your boat. We like what we like. So there are people in the world who don't know anything about the Beatles, believe it or not, but it has to be the case. I mean, we're talking about, you know, we're well over 8 billion people on this planet, so not everybody's going to know of this album. Not that I'm suggesting my audience has that kind of range, Jesus Murphy, but yeah, I had to go with the White Album. I have to include that in here, as I'm sure others have as well. And then follow that up with this one. Technically, I don't know if you can call this cheating. I'm going to allow it. It's technically called, it's an untitled album, but the only title on the album is the band name. So I'm going to allow it, Morten. So of course it's Led Zeppelin. Now it's also called Zoso or Zeppelin 4. I mean, it's just there's a lot of symbols. It's even called symbols for the band symbols, but it's Led Zeppelin. So Led Zeppelin 4, and yeah. So I had to squeeze that one in. I just one of my favorite bands. So next up, Fleetwood Mac, and of course this is long after their debut. This has got nothing to do with the Peter Green Fleetwood Mac. This is when Buckingham and Jesus, I always forget her name, Stevie Nicks. I don't always forget it, but when I'm filming, I seem to forget it. So yeah, Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks come on, and it's kind of a it's like I was alluding to. It's almost like a relaunch of a band, rebranding of a band, completely different sound than before, and it's a great album. So this one I got recently, actually. They reissued this, and I got this maybe 4 or 5 months ago. I'm not sure, somewhere in the new year, but that's I've addressed that before. It's a bit of a blur for me, and one I think that often gets overlooked. Because a lot of people believe it is their debut, but it is not. They actually put out an album of their own prior to this, which is technically their debut. So this is their second album, and they just went with Godsmack. So yeah, it's technically not their debut, because they did record an album and release an album prior to this. Granted, it's essentially the same album, a lot of the same work, but nonetheless, it is not their debut, officially not their debut. So, and I don't know if that's why it often gets overlooked. It's probably the first one most people would have heard of Godsmack. But so that's a self-title. That is not a debut. And then a couple that are probably more obscure to those outside of the Canadian borders where I reside. This one for sure, but this one has been played to death in my household growing up, and I still really enjoy it. And it's the Minglewood Band. It's essentially Matt Minglewood, but it's called the Minglewood Band. And it's not the only time their debut was also called Minglewood Band. But this is the follow-up to that. I think it's the follow-up. But it's not the debut. That's one thing I know for sure. And this album is dedicated to the Cape. So let's just say a boy from Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. Yeah. So this is their follow-up. I'll put my cheaters on here because I think it's 1980, sometime in that realm. 1979. Okay, so 1979. Yeah, and so they did have one prior to this. But this is a great is very subjective. To me, it's a great album because it's very meaningful and nostalgic. My home, all of my brothers and sisters for that matter, everybody was really into this. I think they were. I know all my brothers certainly were, and it got played a hell of a lot. Let's put it that way. So, great album. And if you're not familiar with these guys, they do a cover of the Marshall Tucker Band, Can't You See, on this release. And again, it's going to be blasphemous to some, but to me, probably because it was the first time I heard it, or at least to my recollection, maybe it wasn't, the Minglewood Band version is much better to me. Just the way they play it out and the story, they lay out the story, and it's just a really, really great. To me, it's probably, like I say, mediocre and obscure to most other people, but that's what's great about music. You know, like I say, we like what we like. Some stuff that I think is amazing is going to suck to somebody else, and that's just the way it is. And who cares anyway? It's all about the music. And then the last one I chose is another Canadian act, and probably not as obscure, but Streetheart. This probably would be their fourth album, if I recall. But this came out in 1980. I should know that. I've shown this thing enough times, but 82. So yeah, and I showed this one recently when I was doing my 4 for 4, I believe it was, the thread by Simon, Back to Vinyl. I think it was Back to Vinyl. Jeez, I should stop doing that because I didn't check before I started filming, but I'm not going to reshoot. So, but yeah, that's not their debut, nowhere near their debut, but it is a self-title. So I'm going to leave it at that. Like I say, I didn't want to get on here and do a really long video. I'm trying to keep it relatively brief because there's another one I want to do about my show and tell, and hoping to get around to doing that today. I've got to run out and do a couple of errands here, which is weird on a Sunday, I know, but I like to get that shit done before the week starts. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. Maybe get another video. I hope you enjoyed that one. Let me know what you think about some of these that I've shown. And please head over to Morten's channel, check him out. Maybe jump on the thread, respond to it, and check out some of the others, which is what I'm going to do now that I've filmed mine. I try not to watch too many before I film mine because I do tend to think, well, I can't show that now. But I just thought, you know what? Even some of the ones I did see, I'm going to show them because it's the essence of it is just to support Morten and the other VC channels and have fun doing it. So I had fun doing it. I hope you had fun watching it. And like I say, leave a comment below, or you know, and head over to Morten's channel. And there, I'm going to leave it at that. I'll stop talking now and get my other video done here while I can. So take care, everybody. Hope to see you on the next one here at Twanger's Turntable. Cheers, everyone. Bye.